Hi, I'm Parker, and I use they, them pronouns.
Hi, I'm Mike, and I use he, him pronouns. And welcome to the Graphic Novel Podcast. Actually worked. Welcome to our show, where we discuss graphic novels, zines, mini comics, and other things like that. Throw in a little bit of real life.
Yeah, sometimes we talk about queer stuff. Sometimes we talk about race issues. Sometimes we talk about death or relationships.
We have a new episode every single Friday. If you like the show, the best way for people to find out about that is to give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite other podcast listening platform like iTunes, that's not the one, Spotify or YouTube.
You okay there, Mike? Having some problems?
I'm good. You can interact with us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
Make sure that you subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcasting interface so that every week when this goes live, it shows right up in your feed and it's waiting for you to listen.
If you want to leave us a voice message, you can do so at anchor.fm/graphic novel podcast.
The best way for you to help our show grow is to share with your friends. So share the podcast, Yep. Tell all your friends about it, share it on Twitter or Facebook or, wherever you like to
do that
socialize
stuff
online.
That's right. All right, Parker. How's your foot this week?
Better.
That's good.
A little better every day.
That's
I haven't
good.
put my boot on at all today.
A little better every day. That's good. What else is going on?
How about you? How you doing? How you feeling?
You start school this week.
I start school this week.
By the time this goes live, you will have been in school for several days.
Yeah.
You excited? Nervous?
I don't know what I am. I really am not feeling anything about it.
Oh, I don't know if that's good or
Isn't
bad.
that weird? Yeah.
I'm indifferent to the entire thing.
Well, no, I mean, like, I'm telling myself that I should be excited, but I don't really feel excited. I don't know. It's one of those weird things. I always like build it up so much and then it just happens. So it's just going to happen. It's going to come and I'm going to do what I can and take it one day at a time.
Well, and our little one starts school for the first time in kindergarten, so everybody will be in school but me.
Yeah, they keep going like, I'm scared. I don't want to do it. Like we had the meet and greet and they were all excited to meet the teacher.
Well, they weren't at first.
That's right. They were absolutely, I'm not doing it. I'm not talking. I'm not going on the camera because it was a virtual meet and greet. And then the time came, we explained to them, you don't have to talk if you don't want to. We'll talk to the teacher. She'll probably talk to you, but no big deal. You don't want to talk. We'll just, you just get to see them and see her and hear her voice. And then by the time we were on camera, our little kiddos holding up all their school supplies and talking and counting and doing all the things. So I think it'll be similar when they see their classmates online.
I think so. Yeah, it'll be good. Yeah. It'll be good once it starts. I mean, I think that's the whole thing. It's just
it's anticipation, not knowing what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've all been there.
Yep. Yeah. So awesome. Let's see. Had some good online interaction from our last show. M. Jacob Alvarez liked the show, gave us a new idea for a new segment. So we're gonna be doing that after we get some new books in.
So if you are a creator of mini comics,
find
us on Twitter. We're gonna have a new segment for mini comics. So find us on Twitter and reach out. We want to hear from you, and we'd like to read your mini comics.
Mini comic review. We're going very just like the name of our show, Graphic Novel Podcast. We are going very generic in the name of the segment.
I know we're not getting very creative with it. We let the people that we whose stuff we read. We let them be the creative ones.
Yeah.
We want it to be, you get what you
get,
see.
What you see.
You hear.
Well, that's why when we created it, I thought Graphic Novel Podcast would be blatant enough that if somebody's searching for a graphic novel podcast,
well, because that's what you have to do, right? You want listeners.
Yeah.
Because when I want to like we were searching for polyamory podcasts, you put in polyamory and just see what comes up and scroll through them and most of the time it's just right in the title there.
Yep, exactly. So it's worked so far. It's working for us. Episode 56.
And
So,
we're having fun, and that's what matters.
exactly. Getting new people listening and reading amazing books. That's the best
part.
That's the best part. Like we mentioned
Yeah.
last week, it might get a little tougher with everybody in school, but we're going to do our best to try and stay on schedule still. But yeah, we've got I've got a review this week, and we've got a little bit of news and another book from Conundrum Press. So let's start this show with some news. All right. Where is my news? Oh, I know where it is. So we've got new thing coming. Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. They made history with their original graphic novel series, Reckless. Or they're going to make history, I should say. So what happens is Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, we read their book a long time ago, probably about 40 episodes ago. It was called Bad Weekend. We got a weird comment on YouTube about that one because
they didn't like that. Well, they didn't like that I wasn't immediately intrigued by it because it was just a pink. Because of the pink.
Yeah, exactly.
People are fucking weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, what do you expect me to talk about? Like, I'm just sharing my feelings. How dare I?
Yeah, no, but that was a great book, and
it was. I loved it.
That was by these guys, and so hot off their instant best-selling mega hit pulp, crime noir masters Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips announced a new original graphic novel series starting with Reckless from Image Comics this December in hardcover. Brubaker and Phillips ignited the industry recently with the triumphant pulp release, and fans are primed for the upcoming Cruel Summer graphic novel hitting shelves. But nobody expected the surprise announcement of a graphic novel series to kick off before the year's end, with the first 3 books in the series releasing over the next year. The first volume is 144 pages. Meet Ethan Reckless. Your trouble is his business for the right price. But when a fugitive from his student radical days reaches out for help, Ethan must face the only thing he fears, his own past. So, sounds like a good book. It'll be available on Wednesday, December 16th, and in bookstores on Tuesday, December 22nd. It can be pre-ordered at your local comic book shop, independent bookstores, or on any one of the big old online places.
Big old online places.
It's got some stuff, including a early praise from Patton Oswalt.
Ooh.
Oh man, this book pushed every crime fiction button for me, along with some other stuff, but pretty good. LA Noir bleached to bleakness. So yeah, I love noir, and it's good stuff. And Bad Weekend was good. It was a different type of kind of, not even a crime. That one really wasn't a crime story, although there was a little bit of trying to figure out where his artwork had gone.
Oh,
but in Bad Weekend. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. All right, so I'm gonna do a review of another book. This is a book from Titan Comics from their Hard Case Crime series. It's called Ms. Tree's Skeletons in the Closet. It's by Max Allen Collins and illustrated by Terry Beatty. Ms. Tree, the 6-foot-tall gun-carrying private eye, is back with 5 more classic tales collected as Skeleton in the Closet. As ever, she isn't shy of a fight, and this time she takes on Satanists, homophobia, terrifying haunted motel, and much more. Road to Perdition author Max Allen Collins took daring risks with this character, choosing to address subjects ripped from the headlines, and so create a series of works that tackled big themes as well as being page-turning, noir-dripping detective stories. Ms. Tree is Michael Tree. That's actually her name. But she goes by Ms. Tree, as in mystery. So it's a play on words there. So
thanks for explaining that to me.
So the 10 issues of Ms. Tree Quarterly that artist Terry Beatty and I being Max Allen Collins, give us the ability to do a major story arc, reprint as essentially a graphic novel in volume 1 of this series, Ms. Tree One Mean Mother. And basically what he's saying is they were able to take on a lot of different themes that weren't necessarily. This was the 90s. Now, I wasn't sure. I'm reading this comic, and the artwork, when you look at the artwork, it looks very almost 70-ish, like 70 comics.
Oh, yeah.
And
I like that.
I you could see Betty and Veronica kind of, or Archie. It has that style, which is great. It's full color, but the stories, I don't know. I was questioning them, and I'm guess now knowing that they were from the early 90s. I know the one takes place, and I had to think about it more than once, but it takes place in the 90s, and you've got Satanists, and they're blaming heavy metal on these murders. Heavy metal turning these kids into Satanists, and they want to kill women, young women, and these women are coming up dead. And it's not obviously the Satanists, but you have to read the book to find out. And then the next story, turns out it's about Ms. Tree's stepson, who apparently, I think if I read the story right, on the day of her wedding, the day after her wedding to Michael Tree, he was killed. So she keeps his name, but she, she's kind of estranged with her stepson. Now, in this book, he's going to college, and he had been a big football star in high school, but now he gets to college and he's a nobody. But he's also a homophobe.
Oh.
Yes. He's a gay basher, and he's bashing gays, and they use the F word, and it is questionable. And so I was debating, what my take on it was. In the end, he's still not a fan of gays, but
of gays.
Yeah, he's not a fan of gay people at all. He's still homophobic.
Right.
Doesn't change his stance on that. But he ends up getting beat up by some bigger gays. I mean, he's a pretty big guy, but these bigger gays. And then he turns out that they're these big, tough ass guys. They corner him and beat the crap out, or they start to. But he's got a secret bodyguard that he didn't know about, that his stepmother had hired for him, and he had been watching from a distance. And so there's a twist to the story, And the next story is about him and finding these women are getting killed on campus. And I love the artwork. I love the artwork. I love the story. The way that it looks again. It could be 90s. It's pre-image, Todd McFarlane look, Spider-Man, all that stuff. It's more of the classic style of comics.
Yeah.
Before everything got super detailed and fancy and all that. But it's that style, and it's good. I like it. The stories, I don't know. I mean, they're good crime stories, but some of the stuff, like thinking about it now, and back then, I mean, in the 80s, I liked heavy metal, and I would have had a problem with, I went to see Ozzy Osbourne on Good Friday, which is a Catholic, I don't know if it's anybody else, Christian holiday, and there was a big stink. They were trying to get the concert canceled because it was Ozzy Osbourne, and he bit the head off a bat, and so all this kind of crap was happening. And my friend said, I didn't remember, we talked about it a year or two ago. He said his girlfriend couldn't go because she went to Catholic school, so her mother would not let her go to the concert. That's his wife now. They've been married for 8 years.
Nobody cares. Yeah. So it didn't get canceled though?
Oh no, it wasn't canceled. We went.
So you went on Good Friday.
Well, I didn't care, but
I know you didn't.
But my point is, it bothered me back then when that kind of crap happened. So him writing about it in the 90s seems like a bad trope, stereotypical kind of thing. And then the homophobic stuff. Now, even today, it's even worse to think that somebody would write something like that. But they're 20 some years old now.
I see.
So it's not new. It's not like they're reprinted. I mean, they could have went and cleaned him up, but then it would have killed the story too. If he wasn't calling people the names, it's not as potent of a story.
Yeah.
No, I don't think.
But he's not the hero of the story.
No,
he's that he's the bad guy.
He is, but he's not, because it's Ms. Tree's stepson. But there turns out to be a murder related to all this. It gets worse because there's a murder related to this by this gay guy who has a magazine that outs entertainers.
Okay, so Yes, I don't know. I think I have a problem with it.
I do have some issues with it. But like I said, so it gets worse because this gay guy is outing everybody. He digs up stuff on everybody and he outs all these people against their will, which is not okay either.
No.
And I think that was where he was going with the story. And that's how it ties together with mystery and everything. But
interesting.
I haven't finished reading the book, but it's entertaining. I guess some of the storylines I'm not completely comfortable with.
Yeah.
But the book is good.
Okay.
So, and I like hard-boiled kind of stuff, and I like her character. She's not homophobic, so at least doesn't portray as homophobic.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, that is Ms. Tree, Skeleton in the Closet by Max Allan Collins and Terry Beatty. Or Beatty. All right. So, ready to continue with the show?
Yeah.
All right. This week, we are reviewing from Conundrum Press, Fugitive Days.
Langosh and Peppi.
Yep.
Fugitive Days.
Yep. By Veronica Post. Yes, Langosh and Peppi. Should have said that part. That's the beginning.
Yep.
But by Veronica Post.
This debut graphic novel tells the story of the 2015 European migrant crisis in Budapest, Hungary, through the perspective of Langosh and Peppi, a vagabond and his faithful dog. The pair brings to mind an older, down on their luck, Tintin and Snowy with adventures to match. The semi-autobiographical work based on Post's own experiences. Langosh and Peppi escape the pressures of conformity by exploring out-of-the-way places where they stumble on the vestiges of war-torn regions' hidden past. We follow them through the streets, alleys, tunnels, train stations, cheap rooms, abandoned buildings, and their countryside, and witness the effects of various social, political, and interpersonal situations through their eyes.
Veronica Post, can't find a ton about her, but she is a furniture maker and educator in Halifax, Nova Scotia. This book is black and white, 324 pages, and almost all of it is the story. It's a big book.
It is a big book.
It's a big book, and it's a good book too. It's let's get a little bit into some of the background on how she did it. So, Veronica Post. She says, when I set out, I was following love. I had no specific experience in mind or particular things I wanted to learn. I just wanted to spend more time with my sweetie. And so she was interested in seeing Europe, especially Central and Eastern Europe. But I also hoped to be shown these parts of Europe by friends who live there and could take me to out-of-the-way spots. I love markets, alleys, wastelands, train stations, and quaint stuff like little cafes and sweets museums, but can go all day on a tourist excursion to get some treats from a shack that only locals eat up. So the problem was she ended up seeing more than I ever expected and also meeting more amazing people than I ever could have hoped for. I also witnessed very troubling events that I could not have unforeseen, such as the arrival of hundreds of thousands of refugees into Europe and their subsequent ill treatment. So she goes on to say that in the story, Langosh has legal troubles in his home country, so there's a serious emotional barrier to returning home, as well as a barrier to remaining legally in Europe. Basically, what it is the story starts out is you find out that he's in Europe, he's in Hungary, right? And he's got a friend there, a good friend, and he's had for 6 years he's run away from some legal troubles in Canada, and he has to go over the border every
3 months,
something like that, in order to get his passport stamped, in order to come back and stay.
Because of where he is, they're checking. They can just randomly stop you and check your passport, make sure that you are supposed to be there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is he's in basically. I'm going to use their title of their company, but he's in a conundrum because he's not sure what he wants to do, because he's already done this multiple times and his passport is getting filled, and he does it And
so it's not like you can hide what, like it's, you do it a few times and you're just, well, you're traveling. But the Border Patrol has to stamp it, and they look at your passport every time. And if they care enough to look carefully, they see what they can tell what that you're just, trying to get out and then back in just to get your passport stamped.
Exactly. So, she said that there was a particular incident that so due to the travels of Langosh through different environments, this situation is put into comparison with the lives of various other people who have fewer privileges. She talks about a particular incident. What comes to mind is visiting Roma shanty towns in Belgrade, where there is a very different definition of home, as well as the displacement of civilians in their own country. There was also the shameful treatment of Syrian refugees by the Central European nations and the world in general, especially Hungary. Compare the difficulty of returning home to potential arrest to having no ability to return home at all because your home is destroyed.
Right. Right, and we do see that when they invite some refugees into their home, they see them.
His friend's home, Langosh's friend.
Right, I'm trying to find her name.
Yeah, Langosh Peppi's his dog. And the two of them are just traveling around, and it's a beautiful book. I mean, she draws a lot of scenery.
It's black and white, just and the detail and the
different places that she obviously sketched things when she was there, so she could remember them. Different places, and he's basically living the bum's life. He's just traveling like a homeless person.
That's not nice.
No, you're right, like a homeless person.
But he does it in a way that is really interesting too. He doesn't like carry a tent with him. He searches, the town, the village.
Oh yeah, looks for an empty house or something.
One place he just happens to sit down for a rest, and there's this hidden staircase that he ends up following and finding shelter.
Underground, yeah, and it rained too, right?
I don't think that one was underground, but he does find several places that are underground too, and finds out that he, that was so amazing to me. I would love to be in a situation where I could, where I could do that, where I could explore and not be terrified. I know, like, and he does mention too, that every place that he finds, he's interested in it, and it's such a cool place. But then he also remarks on the fact that it's somebody's gravesite, like somebody died here.
Yeah. So like he comes to the one place and say, "Oh, this is like a beautiful meadow kind of thing," and then you turn around and there's like a plaque up on the mountain doorway or whatever, and it's like from the Holocaust,
right.
And it's like, oh yeah, this is not. It's a beautiful area, but this is not a good area.
Right.
It's not a happy place.
And when reading this, I think of. I mean, I haven't done a ton of exploring in my life, but the one place that I did explore in a way that I wasn't comfortable, but I had people with me that were more comfortable. So we went to Fort Casey. And there's these tunnels that you can go through, and it's pitch black. You can't see anything. And you can, walk all the way around them. And we had flashlights and stuff, but like if I had been just by myself, I never would have gone. And yet he goes into these tunnels and these places and starts exploring and finds all these interesting, amazing, just abandoned
nuclear
telephones.
Yes, because it was like a nuclear bomb shelter or something like that.
Oh yeah. They go down and find the raincoat, people where they hid from, where they are a bunker. That's what it was. It's just amazing to me, the things that they, and his friend is just so willing to, oh yeah, let's go. Like, I wish I had that personality. I don't.
It was her home.
Everything scares me so much that I'm not willing to crawl down ladders into tunnels that you have no idea what you're going to find on the other side. And like he finds cockroaches in one place that he's staying, and he's like, oh God. And then he leaves and he's like, nah, being out in the rain is probably, I'd rather be the cockroaches. Guess. But I'm just like, oh God, cockroaches.
But yes, when you have no shelter.
Yeah, exactly.
But he still fit in with the Hungarians. He wasn't a Syrian refugee. So
right.
So I mean, his you don't see that until later in the book, the Syrian part of it. This is about this is more about his tale of traveling.
Yeah, you're right. It's not really until
he's traveling and going through this, this mental anguish of, I need to go back. He calls his mother once or twice, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm not coming home yet."
I think just the one time until he decides to go back. Decides if he's going to go back or not. But he and it was like he didn't really want to call either.
Mm-hmm.
And because I thought about that too. He talks about
wanted, so he doesn't want them to trace where he is either.
Yes, and it's so like the whole time I'm like, what did he do? Like the phone. He says the phones could be tapped, and the police are listening to his mother's phone calls. And I'm like, and then he tells his parents where he is.
Yeah,
and I'm like, if the phones are tapped, you should.
Yeah, exactly.
You shouldn't be telling them that.
Yeah,
because I'm a fugitive, so I know how those things work.
Yeah, exactly. But
I've read enough mafia books. I know what phone tapping does.
Exactly. So yeah. So there's
that's the other thing I was gonna say.
What?
When you were talking about how Veronica liked to find the little out of the way places.
Yeah.
I remember doing that too.
Oh yeah.
Like when we went to Italy, we didn't want to go to the tourist sites.
No, we didn't.
And really, when you go to any new city, you don't want to go. I mean, you kind of do because you're never going to be back there. We did the Colosseum in Rome, and but then we went out to Castellamare del Golfo. And we walked around the city and went into the little corner shops. And that's where you find the best stuff. That's where our best stories came from. They didn't really. I mean, we talk about going to the Coliseum because everybody expects to talk about it. Yeah, it's cool. It has history, whatever. But those cool stories are when you're walking down the streets and suddenly this old lady pops her head out of the shutters and she's watching you. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't smile at you or really acknowledge you in any way, but she's watching you and she wants you to know she sees you. Those are the best stories.
Yeah, and Castellamare del Golfo is where a lot of American mafia came from in the early 20th century. So there was a lot of them that came from that area, and that's why we went there just because we could. We weren't far, so we went to Sicily. We stayed at Palermo, and then we took a bus down.
We took a train. We took a train and then a bus.
Oh.
No, we took a train. We took a train to there, and then a bus home full of school children learning how to speak English.
Oh, yeah. No, we took
a train, and then the train driver told us how to find the bus.
No, it was a bus driver, because the bus driver spoke English, and he knew that we were American. He could tell.
Of course, he could.
He could tell, and he wrote down what was the next bus to catch going back.
So did we take it? I remember getting off of the train station. Then we take a bus from the train station. Because I remember the train station. When you get off, there was like a ghost town. There was like nothing around.
But
I'm pretty sure we took a train to Castellamare.
Did we fly both ways? Fly back and forth to Sicily?
Yes.
Both ways?
To Palermo and back, yeah.
Okay.
Sicily is an island, honey.
Yeah, I know that, but I didn't know if they could have had a train trestle. I don't remember.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not. I don't know how far apart they are.
Okay.
Anyhow,
no, we flew.
I don't remember taking it. Wait a second. Do I remember taking a train? I don't know.
I don't know. But I don't know what you remember. We took a train. I know we took a train out and then a bus back.
And we took a bus there too. I don't know if
maybe we got off the train and the train took us someplace and the bus. But because I remember the person, I don't remember who it was, but somebody told us that when a bus would be coming and where to meet the bus. It was the driver. So we must have gotten off the train and onto a bus.
Something, yeah.
And then the bus took us.
Because he was watching us, and then he called me up there, and he said, "You're American. You need to take this bus back. Otherwise you're not going to get back in time because you don't know what to take. So wait here and catch this bus to go back or whatever." And it was
full of school children,
and they were trying to speak English. They were doing their speaking back and forth in English, like doing English words. It was pretty funny.
It was really strange.
Yeah.
I mean, it was cool to listen to, but
their school bus was small. It was funky.
It wasn't like a school bus.
Yes,
I know we say it like
I know it wasn't.
It wasn't like a school bus.
I'm sorry, we saw school buses too, and they were small compared to what like normal American-sized school buses.
There you go. Not normal
American-sized school buses.
Yeah.
But so I mean, we did that, and the one time we were walking, and somebody was handing out flyers for a restaurant like down the street around the corner that we would have never gone to, and we ended up going there and having this great meal.
Yeah, well, you did.
I did. You had pizza.
I had pizza because that's what I have. I really regret that trip. as far as that goes.
Food. You were younger and you did not have a broad palate
of a 5-year-old. I really did. I was just so picky, and the smell alone of seafood just made me sick.
I know. But you've changed, and if we went again, you would definitely experiment more with food.
I know it's hard to decide though. Like, do I want to go to Italy again, or do I want to go to one of the many other places we could go visit?
I know, but no matter what, you would try different foods.
Absolutely, I would.
I mean, Italy was pretty much pizza, margarita pizza, which was delicious.
It was delicious pizza, and it was authentic, pizza, but it was still very close-minded of me.
So, I mean, Veronica obviously traveled a lot in the area, and she created this great story of this character Langosh and his dog, just going all over and hanging out. And I love the one time. I mean, he's homeless. The one time he goes and he finds some leftover Chinese food in the garbage, and it's like, great, let's eat this, and he chows it all down.
And then he regrets it.
He has diarrhea, running to go. But I have to say, it did happen to me.
Anytime you eat something that's different from your typical.
Well, yeah, but it wasn't just once. And then he'd go back and lay down. And then he had to run again. And then he'd lay down. And he had to run again. It was like his body was cleansing itself. And it was funny. And you wonder if that happened.
Did that really? Was it really that many times?
I think it was 3 times. And it was funny.
It was funny.
But there's so many great.
Okay, maybe it was because it was out of the garbage then.
There's so many great drawings of buildings. But then he
finds a perfectly good blanket. And
yeah, exactly. And like you already mentioned, a lot of times there's and here's the time that he finally decides because he's debating taking the train over to get his passport stamped again. He knows he's pushing the limit, and finally he does it. And he's on the train and he's waiting. Passport. And the guy's looking and he's like,
"Oh God!" And that feeling, that feeling in your pit of your stomach.
And the guy's flipping through it, and he's thinking to himself, "It's over. It's all over.
It's done.
I'll be put in jail, and then I'll be held there. Then I'll be sent back. Then I'll be put in jail again. And oh my God, what are they going to do with Peppi? They will probably put her in some kind of pound." And he's hugging Peppi, and she won't know why or where I went. Oh no! And the guy comes back with his passport, and he's like, "Okay, you. This is the last time, but last time, understand?" Yes. It's like, all right, I got away with it, but now I have to make a decision. It's the last time. I've got a couple months to figure out what I'm going to do. So basically, this is my going away party. So Yiva, right? Mm-hmm. Yiva's his friend, and he says, all right, we got to get this over with. I can't stay here.
She was worried that he wouldn't be able to even make it back. Like they had been prepared for the thought that there was a chance, because there's always going to be a chance that he doesn't make it back across the border. So, and
yeah, she's a great character too. She wants to make a movie, right? She wants to make a movie of his life or whatever. And
I loved her. I loved her so much.
And she's written with an accent. Oh, he goes to woods. There you are. What you find. It's just great, and it just fits so well. And they go.
Was she talking to the dog there?
I don't know if it was the dog or him. So they go out exploring, and then they go to a friend of hers has a cabin in the woods.
Did they call it a cabin?
Something like that. It's just like his summer home or whatever. So they're like, she calls him up. She goes, "We're gonna go. I'm gonna go," and he's like, "Okay." Langosh is with me, and he's like, "All right," and she hangs up on him. It's like, because he doesn't like Langosh, obviously. But they go, and then all this other stuff ensues when they end up there. They get in trouble and all these things. People are chasing them, all kinds of stuff, and it's just fun, and it's good. It
was a great story. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing. I'd
love to see more on Langosh and Peppi. Honestly,
I mean, yeah, it was. I mean.
Do I say this every time? I feel like I say this a lot. I want more.
But there is. I mean, you got a 300 and some.
These poor artists probably like, no, I'm done with that. I want
300-page story that she cranked out. Not cranked, probably even, but that she was able to draw out of her this 300-page story, and it's like. Yeah, it might be like, and it's her first graphic novel too. So who knows? I mean, she made or maybe this was this story that she had to get out, and she just created these characters in order to give someone. Because it's like I've said, I've got stories that that was kind of like the reason I did my novels, because
Uh-huh.
I had these stories about being a bike messenger, and it's like,
And you didn't know how to put them out
I
there.
could have wrote, a memoir kind of thing, but it's fucking boring.
And
kinda.
who's gonna who
Nobody
wants
cares.
to read your
So if I write a novel and I take these characters and I put some of these stories in there, well, then I get my stories out, but it's not the same, So, but I get them out, and I get them out of me. So, I feel better, because then I've told these stories, and it's like, all right. At least I did it. And maybe that's what it was. She wanted to get this story that she had in her head out. So she created these fun characters and here's another thing we have to discuss. Somebody tweeted that they have a problem when, and I don't believe it was directed at us, but when reviewers look at a book and they say, well, it's kind of cartoony, and they think that is
the way you're saying it now makes it sound negative, but I didn't.
No. It was negative. It was negative because he said,
but we don't say that in a negative way.
We don't, but he doesn't like that people say it at all, because he thinks that like her style is exaggerated. Like Langosh is exaggerated.
Yeah.
In his looks.
Yeah.
And legs and feet and everything. It's a cartoon. It's a comic.
Yeah.
Now the background on this, the trains look realistic.
Yeah.
But she draws it in an exaggerated way.
Yeah.
But I like saying cartoony because I think people understand what that means. And so some people commented to this person and said, well, I like cartoony because I like cartoons and I know what that means, and it tells you what it is. They're comics. They are cartoons. This other person is saying, I think what they're saying is like,
but to them, cartoony sounds like amateur.
But we wouldn't have said that about Paying the Land. That wasn't cartoony. That was very realistic drawing. And, so we wouldn't call something like that cartoony.
Right.
So I think there's a difference.
I think it's I don't know. I feel like they maybe are talking about the way that it's said.
Maybe. I didn't read it.
Because cartoony, I mean, when you pull the word out, it can sound very
goofy, childish.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
it's cartoony.
Like, I mean, I can see from that perspective how you wouldn't want, especially if that's the way you draw, how you wouldn't want your work to be perceived that way. Did they give an alternative as what they would prefer it be called?
I didn't read their whole thread.
Oh, okay.
But like I said, other people were commenting saying, hey, I know what that means. I don't take it as a bad thing, Yeah,
but the person does. I mean, I don't think that we should dismiss it outright, right? Like, if one person feels that way, then there's a good chance that multiple people feel that way. And so I'd be interested to find out what word they would, or what way they would prefer the drawings be.
Yes, because the way she draws, like mouths and stuff, I mean, that's not how somebody looks. Right. Their mouth, if it's a portrait view, like a side view, your mouth is not on the side of your head.
Yeah.
But that's how you do a comic. I mean, you do that, and that's her style, which is awesome.
I really love her style. I don't think they had said that yet.
No, it's great. I love the style. Yeah. And it's very light. It's there's very few blacks in it. It's primarily line with a very light gray for some shading or color, basically, in some things like clothing and things like that.
Just to differentiate a little bit, I think, yeah.
But it's really nice, and it's the story. The story is great.
The story is phenomenal. I loved it.
Yeah, and so if we use that, we're not using it derogatory. But that doesn't.
Like I said, I want to look into that a little bit more. I'd like to see that thread just to kind of see if there was more. In what way would you said it was a guy, right?
Yes.
What he would prefer. Use.
I know.
Because from the way that you said it, it made it sound like people were saying, "Oh, it's cartoony," like that was a bad thing.
I don't know if that's exactly, but yeah,
which I could see.
I mean, I
work minimalized.
I mean, if something was look like a cartoon, I think we would say that it looked like a cartoon, but I don't think that's what he was. I really think that he was saying that was the style, and he wasn't a fan of people using that, but I don't know. Anyhow, we don't normally use it in a bad way like that.
No. So if you want to find Langosh and Peppi, you can just, search them. I did find her Instagram account, but I'm not sure if she just has it just for this book, because it's Langosh and Peppi. So it looks like she just has it.
Well,
for
she
this
has
book,
it.
but I don't
She
know if
has
she'll
her
add-
own Instagram.
Did you? I couldn't find it.
I came across it from something, but she has an Instagram, and
she links it to conundrumpress.com, so
right.
you can head there and purchase the book. You won't regret it. Great buy there.
No, definitely, without a doubt. Anyhow, we've got like that book. Again,
do you follow her on Twitter? You want to throw her Twitter name out there?
I am not sure if
okay.
if
I couldn't find her on Twitter, so
there's a lot of people who do the they don't do both. They'll do Instagram or Twitter.
Yeah,
they don't do both.
I get that.
So yeah, so she might not. I don't believe we follow her.
Okay,
we'll have to find her though. But yeah, so Langosh Peppi, Fugitive Days from Veronica Post and Conundrum Press. Great book, real fun read, and it's some seriousness too about the Syrian crisis.
Yeah, we didn't even. Oh my God, I feel like we didn't even go into those details.
Yeah, we forgot about that. Where you started talking about it, where they bring in some Syrians into Yiva's house, and they give them some food and let them take a shower and stuff, and they're just astounded that anybody's nice to them. I think that's the thing.
Well,
they're afraid.
They kind of standoffish because it's like, you don't know. I mean, they could be taking you in to kill you. You don't.
Yeah.
There's the language barrier. You don't speak the same language. You're in a strange place. You're sleeping in a tent. You're home. You have nowhere to go back to. Your home has been bombed. Your family and friends a lot of times are gone. And it's just heartbreaking, and to see that side of it too. The police come and just round them up and take them off, and that's it.
Yeah, they wake up in the morning and everybody's gone.
Yeah.
So anyhow,
that's the trains. Oh my God, the trains. You have to buy a ticket every day to get to Germany, and then they don't let you on the train at all. But you don't know if you're going to get on the train that day, so you have to spend what little money you might have.
They make you buy
every
the
day
ticket,
to buy the ticket, and then once you get there, nope, you can't get on, and they don't give you a refund. You don't get that money back.
Exactly. Yeah, they were really fucking.
Oh man, it was just heartbreaking.
That
I can't
whole
believe
the Syrian
I
war
forgot
and
to even talk
migrant
about that
crisis.
Yeah,
that
was there.
There was a whole big thing there. Anyhow.
Wow. Yes.
Definitely, that's a chunk of the book there. So it's something to really look into. But anyhow, until next week, my name is Mike,
and I'm Parker,
and this is the Graphic Novel Podcast.
And Black Lives Matter.